Good evening, James. Good evening. To make before dinner is actually served.
We're afraid that half now literally bring the world. A posy or a bouquet of flowers. My illusions are up for grabs, and I'm constantly discovering. And dynasty.
Bear that in mind on Monday. We might have to tell the viewers a few things more.
You better go your 3 foot, wouldn't you? Yeah. So we're going to do it.
Yes. Get this off.
Get those, that one over the other side on.
Yeah, put another foot up there.
Yeah, straight across, but put that one on first. Right?
Yeah, pull that one back a bit. One up there or what?
Surprised, I didn't know it looked.
Want another one then?
Yeah, one more. Right. Make it. Right.
That's it.
Here's the lightest one. You're going to have to...
Little up the stairs with it. Chapping in high for a stop. Oh yeah, you can barely walk.
The Student Writers' Conference was organised by the Hunter Valley English Teachers Association. Those children who took part in the weekend's activities are not necessarily gifted ones. Each of the Valley's high schools, whether government or non-government, was invited to send one student to the conference. The chosen student was required to have nothing more than an enthusiasm for written expression. Mary White has written 5 successful children's novels, including one, Mindwave, that has received international recognition. The Novelists' Conference took the form of a workshop in which the children were encouraged to develop their own individual writing style. The Valley's English teachers are planning to publish a collection of those stories and poems written by children during the conference.
The federal government had announced in its 1982 budget that it planned to upgrade Australia's road system to a high standard by 1988, our bicentenary, at an estimated cost of $2,000 million. However, Mr Morris claims that the shortfall of funds in New South Wales alone exceeds $1 billion. He believes this shortage will affect, amongst other projects, work on the Sydney to Newcastle freeway.
It holds the prospect of some increase in the level of construction of the Sydney-Newcastle Expressway. What it doesn't hold, which is more important, is any guarantee from the present government, whether it remain in office, that the highway would be completed. The other thing that's important is it's very, very clear, quite obvious, that the work that's being promised by the federal government cannot possibly be carried out by the amount of money that's going to be available under the bicentenary program. In fact, in New South Wales alone, the work that's promised would cost $1 billion more to perform than the money that will be available. So that means one of two things. The work's not going to be carried out, or alternatively, the level of federal fuel taxation on motorists is going to substantially increase.
Today I witnessed the weigh-in for tonight's junior featherweight Australian title fight. Now, I didn't expect a Caesar's Palace extravaganza. However, would you believe both fighters had to produce a 5-cent coin to operate a small commercial weighing machine? To my mind, that's real 1920 stuff. The challenger Charlie Brown and current champion Jimmy Bowen managed to keep apart and even smiled at each other once or twice. But to top this off, a ruckus erupted in the car park between the two parties regarding the choice of referee. Of course, none of this is the fighter's fault, but believe me, it will be on tonight at the Cardiff Workers Club.
Charlie, an Australian title up for grabs tonight, so a big moment for you.
Yeah, well, I waited 3 years really to get this title. 3 years ago I fought Brian Roberts here and lost by 1 point, which I thought I really won it, but I still lost. So it's been 3 years and now I'm going to get it.
Well, Jimmy's pretty confident he's going to hold the title tonight. Your style, your attack tonight, what's the plan?
Oh, I really don't think that I can let him get away with this one, because this is mine, this title, especially tonight.
Jimmy, a big fight for you tonight, your first defence of the Australian title.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident.
Well, the way in now, you're confident having a look at the other boy that you can take him tonight?
Oh, reasonably, but Charlie's a never-say-die bloke, same as I am, so I just hope that it's a good fight and no one gets hurt.
I believe your situation's a little unique too, because your father won a major title back in 1942.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, he's Australian middleweight champion. Yeah.
There's not too many father and son champion combinations in Australia.
We're only the second, and only about the third in the world.
What's the tactics for tonight?
Oh, I just take it as it comes. So, I think it'll be a fight to the finish.
Good evening. Many people would say that this is the silly season in rugby league. There's certainly plenty of news about. Waratah Mayfield Club, struggling at the bottom of this year's premiership, have appointed a new coach, a former player with a very good record in coaching too. He sees it as a real challenge. His name, Lindsay Gailey.
I've been coaching now since '74, and I've been with some good coaches and I've been with some good players. So I think with that in mind, all I've got to do is do what I've done in the past, take all the good ideas, use them, not so much use the bad ideas. So.
Meantime, the Premier's Western Suburbs have some announcements of their own. Their President, Jeff Wright, tells us the good news.
Today we signed David Mills, an exciting player of last year who represented Newcastle, and also we've signed Mr Juicy as our 1983 sponsor.
Does that mean the Rosellas have changed their drinking habits?
Yes, Lee, and you have it.
You're on the orange drink, eh?
Yes, Lee, that's for sure, in '83.
In a shock announcement today, the most popular of Newcastle Rugby League directors, Jim Roberts, has decided to call it a day as election time comes around. It's a sad moment indeed for Newcastle Rugby League, I mean that. And I asked Jimmy Roberts today where the game is now headed.
If the finance was available for a team to go to Sydney, I think a Newcastle team in the Sydney competition would actually promote itself. Now, I can't see anything that's going to increase the attendance in the local competition the way we are now, and people today want the best. The best is on television for Saturday, and they can sit back and watch it on television. You know, it's pretty hard.
We've got to get connected with the best in the world, you think?
Well, I think so. People today want the best.
The team arrived in Newcastle today and will relax in the city's bright sunshine in preparation for the local 3-day match. Match captain David Gower sees this as an important fixture.
We need the practice. It's a slightly different side that's playing here at Newcastle. There'll be people who didn't play the first game, there'll be people again starting off, it's their first game. We're looking to do well again.
Well, you got amongst the runs in one innings up there in Queensland, and Alan Lamb, who's playing tomorrow, also got over the ton. So you're in a bit of form anyway, and you'll be looking to improve.
That's the sort of start people are looking for, I think.
Yeah.
And if one or two of the lads who's starting tomorrow can do the same, then it all augurs well.
Well, the reports are that we're going to have a grassy top on the pitch tomorrow, and we're looking forward to seeing your new player, Cowans, too, and they reckon he's pretty quick.
Well, Norman can be. I've seen him once or twice in England bowl fairly sharp. The pitch at the Gabba wasn't that quick, and again Norman was just settling down a bit, settling into a rhythm. So again, he could be interesting then.
Ian Botham's in the side tomorrow?
Yep.
David, we hear a lot of Botham, of course, over here, and he was in the news yesterday after the game, I believe, or when he got out. What about the reports from Mike Brearley saying that Botham's the best cricketer since W.G. Grace? Have you heard that report?
Well, Ian is a very, very good cricketer, as we all know. Superb cricketer, superb competitor. I think it's hard for me to compare him to W.G. I never saw W.G. So
Nor did I.
Not many did here.
Yeah.
I think it's safe enough to say that of people playing the game at the moment, he's the best, if not just one of the best, yeah.
After 3 hours of sweating it out in the classroom, HSC students at Merewether High School appeared relieved rather than tired. But their ordeal is not over yet. Most of them have another 5 exams to face, and they all have to wait until January for their results. Some of the students sitting for today's paper were worried, following a newspaper report which speculated about the exam questions. However, it seems their fears were not realised.
The general feeling about the paper is that it was a good one, and most of the students seemed confident about passing it. However, what they're not so confident about is that they'll get a job at the end of the exams.
I thought it was all right. It was fair. There were a few questions which I think a few people found a bit difficult.
You confident about the rest of your exams?
Oh yes, I think after the first one it's all right.
How about getting a job?
Don't really know yet. I've put in applications, but haven't thought about it.
And how did you feel about it?
I was really nervous after I heard that thing in the paper the other day about how the poets were going to be the 2 compulsory, but when I found out it was a novel I was really relieved until I had a look at the novel question. But I think that was fairly misleading, doing that about the poets in the Sydney paper.
I thought it was very good.
And what about the rest of your exams? Are you confident about those?
Yes, I'm pretty confident. Getting a job at the end of them, though, I don't know. Job situation's a bit bleak at the moment.
As with many other amateur sportsmen, a lot of the money raised for the trip has been raised by the swimmers themselves. Although the Newcastle Permanent Building Society has helped greatly, and the University of Newcastle has helped Caroline. Caroline will be swimming in the 100 metres freestyle and breaststroke, and also the butterfly. And she explains what training she has been through.
Well, I'm training 2 hours each morning, that's 6 days a week, and whatever afternoons I can get in.
Carolyn, this is not your first overseas competition, and I'm sure you're looking forward to the competition of these new games.
Yes, I am. The last time I swam overseas was in Holland in 1980, and over there I came back with 2 silver and 1 bronze.
Aspirations for gold medals?
I hope I'll just do my best.
We wish you all the very, very best, Carolyn.
Thanks.
Bob, this is your first overseas competition. Looking forward to the games?
Yeah, really am. It's going to be a good experience for next year. There's a big trip to England coming up, and 84's our Olympics, and that's what it's all about. This is big pass and parcel for the Olympics for me.
Bob, being in the predicament that you are, I should imagine that weight training plays a heavy part in your swimming program.
Yeah, well, a lot of my success, especially in the state games recently, where I took 4 golds to Joe Hansel over at West, and Eric Arnold has trained me pretty hard and given me a lot of incentive to keep coming back.
What events will you be swimming in yourself?
Freestyle 25 metres, then the backstroke 25, and if possible the breaststroke and the 3x25 medley.
Well, I'm sure from everybody here in the Hunter Valley, we wish you both the very, very best for the coming championships in Hong Kong.
Thanks very much. Terrific.
The 100-year-old coach has all the qualities of a life gone by, handmade in hickory wood and fitted out with royal blue upholstery. The coach was imported from Holland in 1957 for the Queen. Up until now, it has been safely tucked away in a private Sydney museum. Everything is kept, including this age-old wheel spanner.
It's quite unique. It's believed it's the only one of its type in Australia. And it was used by royalty and the visitor about 57, 56. Everything about it's original.
All the fittings?
Yes, right down to the windows and all the catches and so on. These were used in very early trains, if you might recall, but everything works. Door handles, the whole works.
Thanks to its new owner, Mr. Alan Curtis of Foster, it will now relive those romantic days of horse and buggy, this time carrying brides.
We intend to use it for weddings and other fine do's where the people want something unique.
The 250 people who attended the luncheon rose to their feet as Lady Stephen entered the auditorium. Other honoured guests included the Mayor of Newcastle, Alderman Joy Cummings, and the city's Anglican Dean, the Very Reverend Beale. The Golden Jubilee luncheon was organised by Legacy's city torchbearers. The group says the celebration has raised more than $1,000 towards future legacy work. After lunch, Lady Stephen spoke about change in Australia over the past 50 years. However, she said time has not affected the service provided by Legacy.
It is, I think, interesting for us today to look back for a moment at Newcastle and at Australia 50 years ago. It reminds us of how much has changed in that time. With that may be contrasted Legacy's unchanging devotion to its original aims, that is, to care for those bereft of a husband or father by war.
It took 4 days to transport this load from Sydney to Newcastle. The 8-tonne haul travelled at about 20 kilometres an hour via the Blue Mountains, Mudgee, Cassillis and Scone. The one stumbling block preventing its transfer via the Pacific Highway was a pedestrian crossing at Mount Ku-ring-gai. The 10-metre-long gas cooling tower is claimed to be one of the largest fiberglass constructions of its kind. Along with a smaller model, the two will replace existing cooling towers made of lead. The changeover to fiberglass was a bit of a gamble for the company.
It represents about 10 years of experimental work on small items of fiberglass, and eventually we've turned to designing 2 large wash towers in fiberglass, a very heavy construction.
The Sulphide Corporation, with the exception of the zinc refinery, will be shut down for a month during construction. In essence, 60 tonnes of lead in one form or another is being replaced with 20 tonnes of fiberglass. From now on, you could almost call the Sulphide Corporation a light industry. It is known as the Pink Elephant site, and it was during those days of market trading that the building acquired its pink exterior. But the site traded under more distinguished names during its long history, dating back to 1876, when it opened as the Castlemaine Brewery. More than 40 years later, it was bought by Tooths, only to close in 1931 because of the Depression. In later years, the buildings were converted into a depot for Sydney breweries. Finally, its day of beer trading ended in 1974. The buildings are listed by both the National Trust and the Heritage Council. Negotiations on its sale are continuing. 2 undisclosed parties are involved. It's believed they want the development application changed before agreeing to the purchase.